You're going to kill him. You're absolutely, positively going to kill him. That's the only thought left in your mind, because the rest are drowned out by the internal screams of embarrassment and fury at the fact that not only are you and Loki naked in an underground hot spring together, but now you've got company. The smarmy blue wannabe gold digger is staring down her nose at you as if you were pond scum. You bite your tongue to keep from cursing him out loud, because that might actually make things worse, if that's even possible at this point. You don't care if he's magical and villainous and supposedly immortal. You're going to kill him.
What is it, Skadi?
He asks, practically purring, and you glare at his shoulder, having sought shelter behind his back.
The Queen Mother wishes to inform you that the feast hall is prepared, and she would be delighted if you might join her and Prince Barlister at the high table.
Inform the Queen Mother that I will be there shortly. I am also in need of clothing, as mine were ruined in my last battle. And I want you to find something for my pet to wear as well.
I see. I also see that you bring your little mortal pet into the bath with you. How positively old-fashioned of you, my prince.
You can hear the smirk in her tone, and you hate her just a little bit more for it. He shrugs, and you try to ignore the fact that the whole muscular, covered in water thing is really starting to get to you, because he sucks as a person, and you definitely hate him.
Why would I not? She is certainly more useful to me here than she would be out freezing in the hall. A king does need someone to attend to him, after all.
True enough. I'll see if any of the servants can find something. Some hand-me-downs from the children, perhaps.
If you weren't naked and nearly 2 feet shorter than her, you'd almost be obliged to charge forward and chew her out for talking about you like you're some kind of dog. But you jab Loki in the spine instead, hidden under the cover of the water. Get rid of her, you think, so furious that he can probably feel the heat of your temper. You absolute ass, just get rid of her!
Be off with you then, Skadi. Have the servants leave whatever they find outside the door. I will join the queen and her son shortly.
Skadi halfway bows and leaves, the door slamming shut behind her. Okay, what the hell was that? Your voice nearly cracks, and Loki turns to look down at you, apparently amused by your distress. That was not cool! I'm naked, you're naked, and we're taking a bath together, which is already not cool, and you just let some weirdo sashay in here and... Loki raises one long finger to his lips, shushing you, and your voice falters. It's probably for the best. You were starting to babble anyway.
Would you prefer for them to imagine that I have no use for you?
He asks, with that faux pleasantness in his voice that you're quickly starting to dread.
Or for me to actually leave you outside? What do you suppose lovely Skadi would do if she found you all alone? I doubt that it would be very enjoyable.
No.
Sullen as ever, I see. No matter. If you want to live, you'll do as I say. Now, let's wash you off, for we cannot keep the Queen Mother waiting, can we?
And then, before you can respond, his hand is on the top of your head and he forcefully shoves you under the water, his blade-thin smile the last thing you see before you're completely submerged. You come up sputtering, red-faced and furious. Why? You could have told me to just wash my hair and I would have done it!
I know. This is more amusing.
Then, his fingers tighten in your hair, and you barely manage to hold your breath before he does it again. You're sorely tempted to knee him in the groin, but considering how well he had held up against being stabbed, you aren't sure if it would even faze him. It would probably just piss him off, and you'd really rather not give him any ideas when he's already practically drowning you. When he drags you back up, he seems satisfied, and you glare at him when he releases you and pats you on the head.
There. That was not so terrible, was it?
Yes?
Well, you'd best prepare yourself, mortal, because it is going to get so much worse. I have absolutely no idea what this feast will entail, but I can only imagine that you'll be the topic of interest for all of the frost giants in attendance.
You try to smooth down the wet strands of hair clinging to your forehead. You're not gonna let them do anything to me, are you?
No, you're my property, and I am unquestionably possessive. But, as I said before, if your actions merit discipline, then I will discipline you. I will not jeopardize my plans to become king simply because your role makes you uncomfortable.
You think to yourself, taking a deep breath.
Okay, find your zen. Imagine that this is just a role. You're an actor. This is all just a role. A really messed up role that can get you killed if you mess up. Yeah, just a role.
Is that how you do this? It's all just like a game for you? An act?
All the world's a stage, little mortal. One of your Midgardian poets said that, you know.
Yeah, I know. Shakespeare isn't exactly niche or anything. He shrugs again, and you're taken aback by just how young he looks. It's kind of weird.
I am getting out. So, if you wish to avert your eyes like a blushing maiden, now is the time to do so.
You turn your head to the side as he surges from the water, scowling. Way back in high school, you remembered one of your science teachers telling you that cursing could reduce pain. Maybe venting your frustration in your mind could keep you sane. You were much too afraid of him to actually say most of it aloud. If he could hear your mind, he might actually drown you. You keep your eyes averted as he prowls about naked, the sliding sound of the door against the stone catching your attention.
They've brought nothing for you yet, mortal, so you'll have to redress in your old clothes.
Fine by me. You don't particularly want to wear some giant's old clothes anyway.
Get out, and get dressed. Quickly.
Loki's blue again when you finally turn towards him, floundering back to the edge of the pool. He's wearing pants and boots, with an impressively heavy-looking cloak draped over one shoulder. Where's your shirt? He laughs, kneeling down to haul you out of the water as if you weigh nothing. You shriek. You should have known better to trust him to keep his eyes and hands to himself, and as soon as he sets you down, you flee to your pile of clothes. You're surprised to find that he doesn't turn to watch you.
It is apparently a sign of strength in the Jotnar court to wear fewer layers of clothing. That is why their soldiers go into battle practically naked and with minimal armor. It is meant to be intimidating. Believe it or not, this temperature is not particularly ideal, even for me.
You try to towel off with your scarf. You definitely don't want your underwear and bra clinging to your wet skin and freezing you to death once you step back out into the cold. Nearly dressed, you zip up your jacket, lamenting your wet hair. What if it just freezes and breaks off? Can that even happen? You're pretty sure someone told you once that that's a thing that can happen. So the fact that I'm bundled up like this just makes me look even weaker, right?
Essentially. They are very aware of how tender, soft, and vulnerable you are, I assure you. I'm afraid you don't really have any other options. In fact, I should probably renew your charm before we leave. Come here.
Reluctantly, you shuffle to his side, entirely vexed that he's actually doing something considerate. It makes you less inclined to despise him, and it's a lot easier when you despise him. Loki puts his hand on your head again, and you shiver as a soothing sort of warmth slides over your skin. The weight of your wet hair also lightens, and you realize that he dried it with his magic. Which means, if you could have just dried me off, then why did I have to take all my clothes off?
I thought that it would be entertaining, and I was entirely correct.
You swat his hand away as he snickers. He steers you out of the hallway as you seethe, not trusting yourself to say anything that won't instantly get you in trouble.
You know, I rather like it when you pout, mortal. It keeps you quiet at the very least.
"10 minutes later finds you in the grand entryway of a massive room, which is completely packed with long tables made out of some sort of dark, shiny wood. The trees here must be massive too, even though you can't imagine where any trees would dare to grow. There are frost giants of varying sizes and states of dress already seated at many of the tables, including the one that stretches down the very middle of the room on a raised dais, which is where you were apparently headed. The queen is sitting there waiting, the stone-faced boy at her side, along with several other giants you recognized from the hall when you arrived, and many more that you've never seen before. Scotty's there too, of course, watching Loki with that calculating smirk of hers. In fact, everyone in the room is now staring at the two of you as you make your way to the head of the table, some more blatantly than others. You trail just behind Loki as he makes his way to the seat that's clearly meant for him. But it's a single seat. There's nowhere for you to sit next to him, and your blood seems to surge through your veins as your anxiety spikes. But Loki seems to notice as well, and he halts as he nears his seat. Somehow, it doesn't seem to bother him that all eyes are on him. In fact, he seems to almost relish it. He turns and beckons to one of the giants standing behind the queen's chair, who inclines his head so that Loki can whisper in his ear. It's honestly surreal how comfortable he seems to be giving orders to a being that's at least 2 feet taller than him. The servant nods and quickly walks off, and Loki slides into his seat, ignoring you entirely. You stand awkwardly behind him, cold and miserable, and experiencing what is probably the worst case of stage fright in existence.
So, Queen Farboti, have you consulted your soothsayer?
The Valva have been sent for, Laufeyson, and she journeys here to meet you even now. Apparently such significant events require more pomp and ceremony than a single raven can convey.
Damn, you think, slightly impressed. Honestly, even though you're pretty terrified of the queen, and don't really care for her, you've got to admire her ability to snark back at Loki so effortlessly.
Wonderful.
He then turns his attention to the boy sitting opposite him.
Greetings, Byleister.
There's something odd in his voice, almost challenging, and you remember that he threatened to kill the kid that very morning, and he'd done it right to his face.
Greetings, brother.
His voice is as flat as his expression, and you think to see Loki flinch slightly, though no one else seems to notice it. The servant scurries back to Loki's side, placing a large heap of furry pelts on the floor beside his chair, arranging them until they begin to resemble something like a nest. It's basically a dog bed, you realize, and you stare at the pile of furs at his feet, completely aghast. As the servant bows and retreats to his place behind Farbouti's chair, Loki raises his hand and snaps his fingers, and then points to the pile. He doesn't even turn to look at you.
Son of a...
Your blood pressure skyrockets.
I am going to kill him.
You think once again. But at least the freaking pile of furs looks warm, and at least you'll be out of view from most of these terrifying giants who probably want to kill you. So you swallow what's left of your dignity and burrow into the pile. You curl up and sneak peeks at the tables around you, trying to determine if you're actually going to get anything to eat, because it's been days at this point, and you're seriously starting to worry that you're going to starve. Loki and the queen are sniping at each other again in that semi-polite, courtly way of theirs, and you drown them out. It's only making you more nervous. Loki was right. Even with your clothes and his warming charm, the room is chilly, and you pull one of those loose pelts around your shoulders. And then Loki's hand appears in front of your face, holding a chunk of, well, you aren't sure what it is, exactly. Maybe some kind of alien fish? It smells kind of fishy, and you wrinkle your nose. But it appears to be cooked at least, so that's promising. And he probably wouldn't feed you something that would poison you, right? You reach to take it from his fingers, and he pulls away, glancing down at you from the corner of his eye as he continues to talk with the giants around him.
Oh, hell no,
You think, realizing that he's intending to hand feed you like some kind of spoiled little lapdog.
Oh, hell yes,
Your rumbling stomach responds, and need overrides emotion as the morsel approaches your face again. You take it from his fingers with your teeth, making sure to give his fingers a sharp bite. If he's going to treat you like some kind of animal, then by God, you're going to act like one. But Loki seems unfazed. In fact, he looks like he's trying not to laugh. And a minute later, another bite of the probably fish is in front of you. Sighing, you remind yourself that you made a promise that you'd survive this inadvertent adventure no matter what it took. And apparently, that meant literally eating out of Loki's hand. Fine, whatever. There are worse things that could happen after all. You can handle the indignity playing your part.
the role of a lifetime,
Your sarcastic inner voice provides. And when this is all over, you're definitely going to kill him.